let's start with Donald Trump tweeting, Iran made a very big mistake. Iran made a very big mistake. For all we know, he's tweeting this from his bed, eating cheeseburgers and drinking Diet Coke, because literally this is what the President of the United States does. He watches Fox News in bed, eats cheeseburgers, and drinks Diet Coke all day. This is what is reported. So Donald Trump is saying Iran made a very big mistake because the Department of Defense, the CIA, the FBI, the usual suspects are saying, putting out, Iran shot down a U.S. drone in international airspace. Where's the evidence of this? We'll tell you after the war. We'll tell you after the war where the evidence is. Let's see what President Trump had to say.
When I came here, Iran was in 14 to 18 different sites of confliction. They were extremely hostile. They were hostile when they signed the deal. They were screaming death to America. And I think probably Iran made a mistake. I would imagine it was a general or somebody that made a mistake in shooting that drone down. And fortunately, that drone was unarmed. There was no man in it, and it was over international waters, clearly over international waters, but we didn't have a man or woman in the drone. We had nobody in the drone.
Are you still open?
It would have made a big difference, let me tell you. It would have made a big, big difference. But I have a feeling, I may be wrong, and I may be right, but I'm right a lot. I have a feeling that it was a mistake made by somebody that shouldn't have been doing what they did. I think they made a mistake. And I'm not just talking the country made a mistake. I think that somebody under the command of that country made a big mistake.
Are you still open to talking about Iran's leadership?
Let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's all going to work out.
So you're like some of that members of your administration who want.
Say it?
Are you saying you think it wasn't intentional to strike the drone?
I don't know. I find it hard to believe it was intentional, if you want to know the truth. I think that it could have been somebody who was loose and stupid that did it. But we'll be able to report back, and you'll understand exactly what happened. But it was a very foolish move. That I can tell you.
What is it? Do you feel like there are members of your administration who are trying to push you into conflict?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, in many cases, it's the opposite. But I will say, look, I said, I want to get out of these endless wars. I campaigned on that. I want to get out. We've been in Afghanistan for 19 years. As you know, we've reduced very substantially in Afghanistan. We beat the caliphate. We took back 100% of the caliphate. When it was 99%, Justin, I said, we're going to get out. We're going to start peeling back, and everybody went crazy.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing because we're talking about war here, but I don't know if President Trump missed the memo that drones are unmanned. Drones are unmanned things in the sky. So if it were manned, that's called an airplane. Sorry to break it to the President of the United States, what a drone is versus an airplane. I don't even know where to start. When he says, well, clearly it was the drone was shot down in international airways. Clearly to who? Look, clearly means there's some evidence of this. I've seen no evidence that that drone was flying in international airspace. Have you? But this is the thing with the military-industrial complex and the corporate media that props up the military-industrial complex. They just regurgitate without any thought what they are fed by the warmongers in the Defense Department, in the CIA, in the FBI, because they are public relations for the military-industrial complex. Or as my friend Mike Gravel says, the military-industrial complex via Wall Street. Sorry, I don't have a great Mike Gravel impression. And by the way, I put in a request to interview Mike because I want to talk to him about what's going on. I mean, we might be at war with Iran within a week or two. And I don't say that casually, but it's true. So you got basically a corporate media hysteria. I've been watching CNN, MSNBC today. It's just stated as fact, Oh, those Iranians, they shot down a U.S. drone in international airspace. You know, Kimberly, I saw that. You know, you know what the problem is about progressive media in general? Sorry to go on a tangent. Kimberly wrote, status quo competing with Lee Camp right now. You know, the other day I was on, and Jimmy Dore was on live. Kyle Kalinske was on live at the same time. Today I'm on, Lee's on. I love all these guys. And there's women, too, female hosts in progressive media. So I wish, and I have called for this, I wish that progressive media can work together. Imagine if there was one network that had a schedule, and Jimmy Dore was on at X time, and Secular Talk was on at another time, and this one was on at another time, instead of constantly stepping on each other's shoes or feet. I would love that. And I bet you people would pay probably $10 a month, $20 a month for that kind of network. And I have proposed that to some very smart people in independent media. But for whatever reason, they don't want to do it. It doesn't mean status quo wouldn't exist as its own entity, and the Jimmy Dore wouldn't exist as its own entity. Everybody could be their own thing, but just have a schedule. So everybody could watch the independent news that they want without it all being on top of each other. Because I'm not knocking Lee. He should go live when he wants to go live and when it's convenient for him. Same thing with Jimmy and this and that. But like where I'm coming from, 5 o'clock Eastern is the best time I feel for us to go live. So like I can't work my schedule around when people are going to go live every day. So it's a little frustrating. I wish everybody would coordinate with each other. But what are you going to do? I could only go live when I go live. If when I'm live, you would rather watch somebody else, God bless you. But I think status quo is where you should be. Getting back to this. So basically, all of the corporate media outlets, they're bringing on all the generals, the former generals, to basically tell us how we need to go to war with Iran tomorrow. And CNBC is literally bringing on disgraced war criminals to tell us why we should go to war with Iran.
And the tanker attacks that took place last week, there's been so much speculation about what's going on, but from your vantage point and what you know, how do you read all of this?
Well, it's obviously a complicated situation. It's a dangerous situation. I do think that we are seeing that Iran is the big troublemaker in the Middle East. I think we've known that for a long time. But the Iranians can be reckless. They can engage in activities that you would think, why would you do that? Because it's going to provoke a response. Obviously, they are being squeezed pretty hard under the sanctions that the administration has put on. And I will say that the decision to leave the Iran nuclear deal, clearly the Iranians are trying to fight back, but it says something about that deal that the Iranians are so quickly able to start saying that they can break out, they can start enriching at a very high level. I watched Secretary Pompeo. I think that he is somebody of significant substance and a cool head. I know the people like John Bolton. I think they will manage this. We need the Europeans with us. This is a time for the United States and Europe to say to the Iranians, it's fine to come back to the table, but not when you're threatening to cause havoc in the Middle East or along the sea lanes.
Do you think the 2015 agreement was the wrong choice for the United States?
I mean, first of all, where do you even start? CNBC is a disgrace. They should be fired for having Condoleezza Rice on. It's a disgrace. She's a war criminal. But in America, war criminals are elevated. They're given awesome professor jobs at Stanford. I think she's a professor at. They're giving speaking gigs. They're invited on to NBC, to CNBC. I think she was on the Today Show as well. Let's get her opinion on Iran on the Today Show from Condoleezza Rice. So, first of all, a little history lesson. We overthrew Mossadegh, the democratically elected president of Iran in the 1950s, because Mossadegh would not hand over Iran's oil to the United States. This was all the way back in the 1950s. So this created the wrecking ball that more brutal dictators. Mossadegh was not like the Shah, or Khomeini. But we basically created this human wrecking ball in Iran by overthrowing the democratically elected leader of that country. So we also, I don't love Barack Obama, but I was for the Iran nuclear deal, and experts say there was no evidence that they were breaking the terms of the Iran nuclear deal. But Donald Trump removed us from the Iran nuclear deal, not because there was any evidence that they were violating it, because Donald Trump and John Bolton and Mike Pompeo, they're not worried about the nukes. They want the oil. It's about the oil, and it's about owning the geopolitical oil market. That's it. So we've also, like we've done in Venezuela, absolutely destroyed Iran's economy. That's, according to international law, the sanctions that we've put on Venezuela and Iran are illegal. So, I'm sorry, you're telling me that the military-industrial complex, the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Defense, all of them. First, Iran attacked a tanker, a Japanese tanker. That's the first propaganda. But then the owner of the tanker says it wasn't Iran. Okay. Now, a U.S. drone, which our president refers to as an unmanned drone, which means an airplane, not a drone, but let's put that aside. Now they're saying Iran shot down a U.S. drone in international airspace. The evidence? We'll give you the evidence after we start the war. There is no evidence. But of course, Barbara Starr, that stenographer at CNN, Barbara Starr, live from the Pentagon, to give you a word-for-word transcript of what a deep state general just told me. Back to you, Wolf. The Pentagon says, the CIA says, the Homeland Security says. We don't know because we haven't actually verified whether it's true or not, but that's what they tell us. Back to you, Wolf. I'm just trying to imitate as best I can. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.